Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight, oh man, do I have something extra special for you tonight. Our guest is Mark Reale, kidney transplant recipient, the laundry musician, Tourette survivor, radio show caller. I think he's a big Howard Stern fan, by the way.
Hmm.
Is Izumi tattooed, sober, juggler, magician, drummer, and cat lover. Mark's kidney journey starts on October 19th, 2018, when he was driving to work at his laundromat. A suicidal wrong way drunk driver hit him head on at 80 miles an hour on the Howard Franklin Bridge, breaking his foot off, shattering his pelvis, causing a head injury and nerve damage, as well as paralysis in his left leg. He also suffered from other internal injuries, including kidney failure. After this horrible collision, the next thing he remembers is waking up in the hospital 6 weeks later. His mom and his brother were there and had to explain to Mark what happened. Altogether, Mark spent 105 days in the hospital bedridden because he was unable to walk. Once Mark was released, he spent time with his doctors or in physical therapy. Mark moved in with his dad, who helped take care of Mark for a few months, doing things like helping him in and out of the bathtub. Mark learned how to walk again with his shattered leg, broken pelvis, nerve damage, leaving him with a paralyzed left leg. More importantly, at least for our purposes, Mark's kidneys had shut down. He had been doing dialysis. He spent the next 6 years on dialysis and was placed on the kidney transplant list at Tampa General Hospital in their kidney and pancreas transplant program, where he waited approximately 5 years and 10 months after he was listed before he got the call for a kidney transplant at 11:30 at night on Sunday, July 21st, 2024, and he finally received his kidney transplant Monday, July 22nd, 2024. Currently, Mark is approximately, and give or take Uncle Jim's really bad math, six
Hmm.
months post transplant. He's doing very well with his new kidney. While he was on dialysis, Mark worked 50 hours a week with his full time dialysis schedule at his new place. Mark had to start a new business from scratch, a laundromat in St. Petersburg, Florida, called the Laundry Magician. This is no ordinary laundry. He refers to it as, quote, more than a laundromat. It's an experience, a magical place, unquote. Mark's place gives off good vibes due to his gratitude for being alive. He has made a point to give back because, in his words, quote, everything I have in life is as a result of helping others. My life now is committed to helping other people, unquote. Mark gives back by donating time to charity once a month, and since the recent hurricanes in Florida, he has been delivering food and laundry to seniors. If you guys saw Mark's video that he posted earlier this week, then you know what I'm about to say is true. Mark's unbridled enthusiasm is infectious. Please give a warm welcome to a true kidney warrior. The laundry magician is with us tonight. Mark Mark Reale. Mark, how you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you. I feel wonderful after that.
Good. Good. Did I state everything correctly in the introduction?
That was perfect. You didn't miss a beat. Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate it.
Good. Good. Please tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your education, and your employment experiences.
Sure, absolutely. So, I was born in 1974 in New York. I grew up in between Brooklyn, Long Island, and Staten Island most of my life. And you had mentioned I have Tourette syndrome. So, somewhere around 5 years old, I started having tics and realized I had Tourette syndrome and a couple of other odd things happening in my brain, like echolalia, which is a mental form of Tourette syndrome, and all that. So that all started. It gave me a lot of trouble through school because I couldn't focus on things with my eyes blinking. We moved around a lot. I lived in Brooklyn, Staten Island, Long Island, and I was just a very rambunctious kid. I was into everything. I was into bicycling and I was into martial arts and music and just about anything. I built hobby toy models that worked with gasoline engines. I was always a very inquisitive person, always inquisitive. So you
Okay.
flash forward a few years, I graduated high school, and on a whim, I moved from New York to Boston. And I spent 8 years in Boston, where I started a little entertainment agency where I would book out jugglers and magicians and balloon animal twisters to parties. And that was like my first job after college. I started doing that. I realized there's no way I could work for anybody. I say too many things that I don't mean to. And so I started my own business in 1997. I've been working for
Okay.
myself ever since. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the new business. How did
Sure.
you come up with the name The Laundry Magician?
So I moved to Florida in 2001, and another whim, I started a laundromat. I saw an ad in the paper that said laundromat for sale, and I went and I looked at it, and I really liked the business. I thought this is perfect for me. I tinker, I mess with things, I love mechanical items. Now I had a whole room full of machines I could tinker with. So I started the laundromat then, maintained owning a laundromat up until the point of my car accident, at which point I shifted, everything shifted gears from that point forward. So if you want to fast forward again, after the accident, I decided to start a new business after transplant. Or my mind gets a little scattered. Let me back up a sec. I got
Okay.
hit in the head in that accident. Sometimes I get a little confused. So we'll back up a little bit. So I've been in the laundry business for a long time. I really like it. And through the accident, I was still in the laundry business. And I had also owned a few other businesses and streams of income before my car accident, two out of three of which had gone out of business because I was no longer able to work. But I kept the laundromat. I always kept the laundromat, knowing that it would be a great investment. What I had done was I moved my laundromat from Tampa to St. Petersburg, and that's when I started the delivery service new business idea that I was working 50 hours for. So
Okay. And that would be The Laundry Magician?
that was, I had a different name and a different delivery service that I operated. We switched it to the Laundry Magician after I stopped doing delivery, because delivery went out of fashion in my area. Interestingly enough, I got into the accident, I went in the hospital, and when I got out, delivery was the big thing to do, laundry delivery. So that's why my business was successful for those 5 or 6 years. But then when I was transplanted, it seemed that laundry delivery service is no longer in fashion. So that's when I shifted it to the laundry magician. I decided, instead of going out and picking up laundry, let's focus on the location itself and make it someplace that people want to come and visit, and make up the difference in money that I was losing by not having a delivery service by bringing people in. So I took a concept that I had with the magic and the juggling, because I'd started juggling and magic when I was a young kid. I was 9 years old. My elementary school had a circus arts program. So I learned juggling, unicycling, a little bit of magic, some music. I learned to play the xylophone and percussion. So I took that concept and I added my roots to my new life, and I put them together and said, let's do magic at the laundromat and see how it goes. So I rebranded. I painted the place up to look like a little bit of a magic studio with some interesting colors and graphics. And I started advertising that free magic shows, come to the laundromat for free magic shows. And it really caught on almost instantly. Within 90 days, I was back up and running after transplant, back up and running. And
Excellent.
it's so much fun now. I don't have to pick up laundry and run it around because I was not physically able to do that anymore. But now I get to hang out in my store and perform magic. And, we do interesting things, juggling lessons. We'll turn the lights out and we'll pump up the stereo system and we'll put a disco ball on if we want at night. Why not?
The thing that intrigued me was the free Pac-Man.
Yeah, like free Pac-Man.
Can I ask why I noticed in your laundromat that one of your themes is about Houdini? What is that all about?
So I always say that I pulled a Houdini out of that car accident because that original car accident that I had on October 19th, 2018, a guy decided to kill himself by driving the wrong way on the Howard Franklin Bridge. So the guy stopped his car, made a U-turn, called his wife, said, "Goodbye, I'm killing myself." And that's the guy that hit me head on. So I pulled a Houdini, you know? There's no other way to describe it. There's no reason I should have lived through that accident. My body was bent, torn, and twisted as bad as you could possibly imagine. My organs were falling out. It was horrible. So I'd like to say I pulled a Houdini out of that one.
Okay.
So there's tons of
You
Houdini references all in my story. You'll see names
mm,
like Mayor Samuel. You'll see Bess Houdini. You'll see what was the other one? You'll see Hardin, who's Houdini's brother, and it's all it's all for me more than anybody because I look around and I see those things and I think, yeah, I pulled a Houdini out of that one, didn't I?
uh, you mentioned that you've had some experiences with Tourette's. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Somewhere around 5 years old, I started discovering that I had sniffling and blinking tics. And I always remember my dad would hand me a tissue and say, "Hey, stop sniffling, try blowing your nose." And I would put the tissue over my face and I would do my Tourette tics into the tissue. And it sort of sounded like I was blowing my nose. And I would do that just to have him stop telling me to blow my nose. And I never understood why I did that. I did it for a long time. And Tourette syndrome was not very known through the 80s and really through the 70s and the 80s. There were TV shows about it, but it wasn't very studied. And not like kids today, they know a lot of stuff about mental health more so than they ever did. So my experience with Tourette syndrome was I was not diagnosed until I was 16 years old, but I had terrible tics that everybody knew I had. Everybody saw them. So when I was 16 years old, a doctor named Arthur K. Shapiro. If you Googled him, you'll see they refer to him as like the grandfather of Tourette syndrome. I He diagnosed me personally with no medical exam whatsoever. We drove out to his house in Westchester, New York. He had this gorgeous property and he took me and my mom on a tour of the property for a couple of hours and he showed us all these interesting artifacts that he had bones and skulls from different places he had collected and weaponry and all these odd items. And after the 3 hour tour of the house, he sat down with my mother and myself and he said, "Your son has Tourette syndrome."
Okay.
And I wondered, how did he know that? And now that I know Tourette syndrome, I could spot it from across the room. It's
Okay.
it's a very unique rhythm of ticks, and he knew that back then.
Right. Talk to us a little bit about I'm going to mispronounce this, Irezumi tattoos.
Okay,
What's going
okay.
on with that?
So I've always been into tattoos. I've always liked tattoos. I got a tattoo on my 18th birthday. So when I moved to Florida, I decided to find a new tattoo artist to get a couple things done. And the gentleman I met at a place called Black Label Tattoo, it's in Florida, it's in Brandon, Florida. He does body suits and big tattoos, full backs, legs, full arms, and whatnot. So I went to him to get a sleeve done. And in the process of the sleeve, I learned about the Japanese bodysuit and what it means. And I liked the philosophy, and I decided I'm going to enter into this commitment of the bodysuit. And what that means is you basically cover your body in tattoos and you get mental, physical, spiritual armament from it that can never be removed. And there's only one way to get it. You have to earn it. You have to earn it. And
Okay. Talk to us a little bit about your experiences with sobriety. I understand you've been sober a long time now.
it's, yeah, nine and a half years. The last time I drank was on August 2nd, 9 years ago. I can I realize I like a lot of things on the edge of, I don't know what you say. Like I love to read the Guinness Book of World Records. It's always been interesting to me. Lately I've been into watching extremely fast things in slow motion, and I realized that I kind of like extreme things. And when I entered into the tattoo commitment, I went very extreme with my tattoos, you know? So what was the question?
Oh,
I'm
I
gonna
was
tie it
just,
back in. Watch.
we were talking about your sobriety.
Oh, okay. So I realized that even with drinking and drugs, I'm such an extreme person. I always take it to the limits, and I never, I realized that when it comes to that stuff, it's best for me to just leave it alone because I don't manage my life well when it comes to drugs or alcohol. I just leave it alone
Okay.
now.
I noticed looking at photographs of your place and looking at pictures on your various Facebook pages that there's a lot of photographs of Howard Stern, the talk show host, and
Yes, yes.
you're one of the guys that evidently calls in quite a bit to talk shows. Can you tell us about that?
All right, so I've loved the medium of talk radio for a long time. I got turned on to talk radio sometime in the early '80s when I don't know if you remember a broadcaster named Scott Shannon, but he's a legendary broadcaster from New York, been on the radio for a million years. I heard talk radio for the first time and I thought, wow, this is very interesting compared to just listening to music on the radio. So I got into him back then in the I guess that was in the '80s. Then I started listening to Don Imus, and I wasn't much of a fan, but I bounced around the radio, and I always liked the format of talk radio. So then it was in the early '90s, sometime around probably 1989 or '90. My buddy showed me this video of Howard Stern, and I was hooked from that point forward. So I've listened very very committedly to Howard Stern for 30 some odd years, but I still like live broadcasts. I studied it in college, live sports production, live video production. So I'm a fan of anything that happens live. Like this is live. I love it.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You
So
mentioned
that
it.
oh sorry.
Go
So
ahead,
other
buddy.
than that, so a lot of times I'm driving and I'll just pick up the phone and call. I'll call the radio stations. I've spoke to pretty much every broadcaster that I could think of that broadcasts out of Florida that I could call. And a couple guys in New York, if you get on the app, you could listen to them and you could still call.
Cool. You mentioned the juggling. Talk to us a little bit about your experiences as a drummer. I saw some photographs of you drumming.
Yeah, yeah. So I've always been into tinkering and new things. On my 40th birthday, I got a set of drums just to try something new. And now it's been over 10 years. I play once or twice a week. I sit down at my drums and I tap out a beat and the next thing I know it's 2 hours later.
Okay. And I've read that you're a cat lover, and I know that recently you got a new dog. Can you tell us about that?
So I love cats. They're the most interesting animals to cohabitate with. They just hang around the house, they do their own thing and they check in with you once in a while. So it's nice to have that companionship around. I love it. And the dog is new. I recently adopted the dog and the dog has been the best thing for my kidney journey, believe it or not. It really, really has been. And
Okay.
the reason is because at 7 a.m., that dog wants to go out. I can't hit the snooze. I have to get up. And while I'm up, I might as well drink some water. I might as well take my pills. I might as well make some breakfast, and it's been a good thing for me.
What's the cat's name?
My cat's name, she came with the name Ink, and then we started calling her Stink. And now she goes by Inky, Stinky, what anything. You could call her any form of stink that you'd like.
Okay. And the dog, what's his name?
She
Her
came
name?
with the name Coco, and then I started calling her Coco Chanel just to be funny. And I give her a nice pearl necklace, and I tell everybody that they're real Tiffany pearls.
Okay.
You
Let's talk about your kidney story and
Yeah.
the collision that you had on the Howard Franklin Bridge, October
hmm
19th of 2018. You told us a little bit about it, but you had some very serious injuries.
hmm
Talk to us about what was going on with your foot.
I know. I kind of glaze over it. It's not like a big. Everybody asks me about it. I say, no big deal. I got banged up. I healed. But the truth is, it was pretty bad. It was a pretty bad accident. So the cars came together and I must have swerved because it looks like he hit me in my door at 80 miles an hour on a 45-degree angle. So my left leg was pushed up into my body and my pelvis broke. So my pelvis was pushed under my rib cage, broke all my ribs, damaged a ton of internal organs, and further down my foot had been broken off, really. The tibula, the fibula were completely shattered in half, and the hip joint was removed from the ankle joint was removed, and it was really hanging on by skin and skin only. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So they
Head
rushed me to the
injury, nerve
hospital.
damage.
Well, from the broken pelvis, I have nerve damage through my body where I have paralyzation in my left leg. From my knee down, I can't really move my foot. I can't tap my foot or anything. So I walk. I had to learn how to walk a little bit. Even now, I have to remember my steps. I have to keep in mind of my steps and not twist on that leg because it'll just buckle underneath me.
Tell me a little bit about your internal injuries.
Okay, so my diaphragm was torn, which sometimes I can't regulate the volume of my voice now as a result. My diaphragm was torn. They had to do a vivisection of my intestines because they were ripped in half, so they had to put them back together. 11 ribs. My spleen was removed because it was crushed, and the nerve damage also affected my right hand. It doesn't always work correctly, and sometimes I can't hold things. It'll just open on its own.
Okay. And the kidney failure?
Started dialysis immediately, and then in the hospital did dialysis for the 105 days, and then when I got out of the hospital I had to immediately start outpatient dialysis with Fresenius Clinic.
Okay. Are they referring to your kidney failure as an acute kidney injury, or they call it something else?
So it wasn't from the physical injury of the kidney, it was from the blood loss and the transfusion. When I lost all that blood, my kidneys, my intestines, a whole bunch of organs just got in shock. And everything came back online except for the two kidneys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it all right with you if I show people the scene of the accident?
Sure.
Okay, hang on. That's the amazing thing about
That was my
StreamYard.
silver van right there.
Wow, that looks like you took one heck of an impact.
And you can see the red car in the distance on the right at the top that's his car.
Did you have collisions with the abutment or other vehicles as well?
I don't really know. I think they said that another car might have gotten hit on the just a dent from me, but I don't really remember. I'd have to go back and read the police report again.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. See if we can get back on the banners here. Maybe.
Yeah, that silver van is it's a strong one. I went out and bought the same van right after that.
Okay, here we go. One of these days, I'm going to learn how to work this.
Yeah, it's all right.
After the collision, how long were you unconscious? I know there was a period of time.
It was about so I'm not 100% sure. I know that I was in a coma for a while, and people tell me that they were having conversations with me, but I have no recollection of a lot of it. And I remember I'd say I opened my eyes and had that conversation with my mom about 6 weeks in.
Okay, so your mom and your brother were there when you woke up. How long were you
Yeah,
hospitalized altogether?
it was 105 days total.
What did they do for you while you were there?
Okay. Well, they of course did the outpatient dialysis. They put a lot of screws in my pelvis, a lot of screws in my ankle, and buttoned that all up. Um, Removed my spleen, set my ribs, and then they had me in an induced coma for a while to allow me to heal. And Jeez, so I woke up that day and they had already taken the breathing tube out of me, which is good because with my tics, I know it would have bothered me. It would have made me want to, want to move
Oh
my
yeah.
head and things. So I'm glad that I never experienced that. But
Okay.
everybody tells me I have more tubes in me than they've ever seen.
Okay. When you started dialysis, my best guess is you started with a catheter.
Correct. Yeah, I had that for almost a year, actually. I had it for about 8 months. Yeah.
Okay. And what hospital are we talking about? Where were you hospitalized?
They brought me to Tampa General Hospital.
Same place
And
where you were transplanted.
completely same place. That's my place. I know everybody there now.
And what was the date of your release?
So I was
Approximately.
hospitalized October 19th, November, December. So it had to be the middle of January because I remember going to a Super Bowl party right after I got out of the hospital at my dad's neighbor's house.
Okay. And what was the condition of your health at the time of your release?
So strangely enough, I had bounced back. I was in really good shape when I got hit. So physically, my injuries healed really well. My broken bones, all of that healed. My stitches, anywhere they had me stitched up, all healed really well. But I still couldn't walk for a while after after I got out of the hospital. I was in a wheelchair for a long time. What was the
One of the
question?
things, okay, I'm sorry.
I
Go
get
ahead,
confused.
Mark.
Yeah, I don't
One of
remember
the,
what you had originally asked.
okay. I was asking you what kind of shape you were in when they sent you home.
Oh, okay. So I was not load bearing until the week before they sent me home on my broken leg. So I didn't have much time in the hospital for them to do a lot of rehab. So I got out of the hospital and I immediately started to do outpatient rehab where they taught me to walk again.
Okay.
But like I
Okay.
said, I was physically up and running. I didn't even feel bad. I felt so strong. I just wanted to get back to work and get my life in order.
Okay. One of the things that I found remarkable is that you had a number of visitors while you were hospitalized. Can you talk to us about that a little bit? Your friends, family?
So while I was in the hospital, I a lot of people turned out to come and see me, and it really was overwhelming when I found out how many people reached out, and even like friends from New York, family from New York flew down. The ICU said that they've never seen anything quite like that in the waiting room. My family was in there, my Italian family, they brought prosciutto, they brought food. I mean, oh yeah, I was in there on Christmas. My aunt brought me lobster tails on Christmas Day. It was like a steady stream of food coming in constantly and people constantly.
Well, that's because you're beloved. You and your business are a remarkable business.
I didn't
Um,
realize it until that's happened. That I guess I resonate with people somehow.
yeah, I want to tell people this, Mark. The research that I did to get ready to talk to you today, if you go to my Facebook page, the broadcast is pinned to the top of my Facebook page.
Okay,
So if you're interested in seeing the replay later, you can catch it there.
cool.
If you go to the comments in the broadcast, all my research, the links are there. So all the things that we're talking about today, if you wanted to drill down on those things or you wanted to contact Mark and wish him well, all of that material is there. His Facebook page, his website, all of that is there. We're going to show you some of that during the broadcast, but I know that when the stuff streams by, it goes by kind of fast.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you miss something, you can always go back to my Facebook page and to the comments to the broadcast, and it'll sit still for you so you can access it easily. So I just wanted to let people know. Um, Once you were released, please talk to us about the things that you did to regain your health. What did you do?
So I had to go back to work right away because I needed to make sure that, after the accident, I needed to make sure that, I had just bought a house and I was only here for a month. I had to make sure that all of my everything was okay. So I went right back to work after release from the hospital. And I believe that having a focus and having a goal to focus on and having a life to maintain is what really kept me going because I didn't have to focus on my health. It was not that it was an afterthought, but I didn't have to sit around all day and think about it. And I think that that was good for me. And I think that's what started motivating me to reach out to other people and distract them from their problems.
Okay. And I understand you had a lot of doctor visits and physical therapy.
Yeah, the first year after transplant, the first year after transplant is always a lot. You go in and out every week. They want to take your blood. You know how it is. I'm sure everybody watching who's had a transplant knows that rigmarole. You hope you go to labs and you hope you get good news and you leave happy or you leave bummed out.
Okay. And you lived with your father for a little bit?
I did, yeah, that's right. So after the car accident, I was released from the hospital. I stayed with my dad, where he's around all the time because I couldn't be left alone. So we had a baby monitor at night. He would help me into the bathroom and out if I needed to. And it took me a little while. It took me about a month to really be able to gain my balance and walk on my own. I walked with a walker or a wheelchair, depending on what I needed. I would bring the wheelchair and I would just roll it next to me sometimes.
Okay. Um, so with the shattered leg, the broken pelvis, the nerve damage, the paralyzed leg, you had to learn to walk all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, I
What?
remember being in physical therapy at the hospital, standing with the stirrups, holding them, like you see on TV, people learn how to walk again. I was doing that, I had to step over shoe boxes, it was hard for me to lift my leg up high enough to step over a shoebox. Whew, that was a tough one. I was so strong and active. It was tough seeing myself that way.
Okay. I,
Yeah.
I understand that you spent the next 7 years on dialysis, and you mentioned that you were doing in-center hemodialysis at Fresenius. Do I
Yeah.
have that correct?
It was 5 years, 10 months total that I was on the list. So it was a little over 6 years, yeah, that I was doing dialysis from day one in the hospital. Yeah.
Okay. Did they put in a cath or a fistula or a graft at any point in time, or were you always
So
on the
yeah, within that first year, I got the
catheter?
bovine graft put in. I got me a good
Okay.
bovine graft put in. It's ugly and lumpy like everyone else's.
Okay. And how often were you doing dialysis, and how long were your sessions?
I was on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday routine, and I had to do 3.5 hours on the machine total.
All right. And approximately when were you placed on the kidney transplant list at Tampa General Hospital?
So my accident was October, but they don't start you on the list until you start doing outpatient treatment. So my outpatient started on January 1st of that year of 2019.
Okay. And I
That's when I
understand that,
that's when I was on the list.
all right, and I understand that you waited on the list about 5 years for your transplant. Can you tell us what that waiting was like?
So the hardest part of this whole thing was dialysis. Dialysis is just it kills your mind, it kills your body, it kills your soul. It's there has to be a better way to keep us alive before we get kidneys or for people that are, on the dialysis indefinitely. Dialysis is just no fun, for lack of better way to describe it.
Okay. And I'm showing people now the link to Tampa General Hospital and their transplant program. So If
Yeah.
someone would be interested in listing with them, the link is going across your screen now. And I just wanted to let everybody know again, if it's going across too fast, you can go to my Facebook page, the comments to the broadcast, and it's nice and still for you. So if you
Nice.
want to list there, you want to know more about Tampa General, that's a place you can go to find out. I understand that you were working 50 hours a week while you were on
Yeah.
dialysis. How are you able to do that?
Well, I think I was a bit of a unique case as far as dialysis is concerned, and that probably had a lot to do with my ability. My my kidney failure was not from health reasons. So I never had high blood pressure, never had diabetes, never had any of those ailments that might cause kidney disease. So the fact that it happened as a result of that, it was more of a mechanical failure than it was a medical failure, the way I looked at it. So I was able to maintain a lot of my body's function. I even had no liquid restrictions. I drank as much as I want. I peed as much as I want. I could eat more or less anything except for certain things like potassium and whatnot. I had a few restrictions, but so I was kind of okay for a while after the what's it called, after the accident on dialysis. But my health started to decline after a while. Unfortunately, I couldn't maintain that pace and I was getting to the end.
Okay. What was your health like by the time you got the call Sunday evening, July 21st, 2024, that they had a kidney for you? What was your health like then?
So I think about that last year that I was on dialysis, and I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy mentally. I had talked about like stopping dialysis a lot of times and just letting myself die. I had written a will. I had, made sure that all of my everything I owned was dealt with. I was that last year I was doing dialysis. I didn't really care if I lived or died anymore. I would miss sessions or just stop going altogether for brief times. And it got really hard for me to sit in that chair to the point where I had to start taking Xanax to sit there because I would have anxiety attacks and I would disconnect myself from the machine and leave. And they don't like that. They don't like that at the dialysis clinic, you
No,
know?
yeah, the non-compliance thing is a big issue with them. I know.
I
Been through
struggled
that
with it.
myself, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, I struggled with it. And I know a lot of people do. I've met I've had 12 people die that I sat next to at dialysis in the 5 years, 10 months that I was there.
Wow.
One
Wow.
person died in the clinic. I watched them wheel them out.
I went through the same experience, Mark. I had a lady that passed away. I was within arm's length
Mm.
of her when she passed away on dialysis. Talk to us about getting that call on the 21st of July. What was that like?
So I was sitting on the couch and I was watching. It was late. It was 11:30. I was up. I was watching TV and the phone rang and I saw that it was Tampa General and I looked at the clock and it was late and I said, "This is weird. Why would they call me?" And in an instant, I thought, "I wonder, maybe they're calling me for the kidney." It all went through my head in an instant. So I pick up the phone and the girl says, "Hi, this is so and so from Tampa General Transplant Center." The only thing I remember her saying is, "We have an offer." And then my head just started buzzing. Like I couldn't even hear what she was saying anymore. She said, "We have an offer." And then the next thing I remember her saying is, "Be here by 12:30."
The next day, Monday.
Yeah, no, it was 11 o'clock at night. She said, "Be here by 12:30 tonight."
Oh,
I had 90 minutes to be there.
wow. How far away is Tampa General from you time
Uh,
wise?
it's about a 30-minute drive. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, downtown, and it's you have to go up over the bridge into the Tampa area. So
Okay.
I did it. Yeah, that was it. I got a ride. I got a ride. I was at the hospital for a couple of days. I woke up. I literally woke up the next morning, and all I wanted to do was go home. It's
I
like I was ready, I couldn't walk, I couldn't move. I was, I'm not ready to go home, but all I wanted to do was go home.
understood. You were transplanted Monday, July 22nd, 2024.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that day. What happened, buddy?
So I remember going to the hospital that night. I fell asleep. I woke up at 5 in the morning. I remember I remember them coming in my room and turning the lights on. And now normally when you're in the hospital, when they come in to take blood at 5 in the morning, they only turn one light on so that they don't wake you. But they flipped on every light and they were like, "Are you ready?" And I said, "I guess so." And they wheeled me in. And the last thing I remember was, if you've ever been in surgery before, the room is always so bright and cold, and everybody's dressed like they're an ET when they take ET to the when the government comes and takes ET. So you're in there, and it's a very surreal situation. And I remember meeting the surgeon and shaking his hand and getting very emotional, and I started kind of crying to myself. And I remember rubbing my skin and saying, "All right, body, you got one more shot at this, okay?" And I was talking to my tattoos. I said, "You could do this. One more time, you could do this." And I went to sleep. I woke up, and I remember waking up and just looking around and thinking, "Holy crap, I'm here." And that was it. It all just went from there.
Wow. And how long were you hospitalized after transplant altogether?
I want to say 4 days. It was only 4 days. Yeah, maybe
Oh,
five. I'm not sure, but it wasn't very long.
okay. Let's talk about the laundry magician for a minute. I understand that you had to start that laundromat from scratch. Tell us what that
Yeah.
was like.
So it was a laundromat for 30 some odd years, but for the last couple of years, it had been shut down. So I found this place and it was just a bones, it was the bones of a laundromat. It had all the plumbing in, all the plumbing out, which you can't build a laundromat from scratch in Pinellas County where I lived. You could only find an existing one and remodel it. So I got lucky enough to found this crappy old place that I got for free. I didn't have to pay for the bill for the lease. So I got in there, I gutted the whole place out, and I had the equipment delivered and installed. And then me and my buddy Kevin, who owns a painting company here in St. Pete, the two of us built everything else. We did the walls, we tiled the floors, we made it real nice. We built a laundromat from scratch.
A special laundromat, just not an
Yeah,
ordinary laundromat. One of the things I found that was real cool is I was watching videos of you washing and drying rugs,
yeah,
whole big rugs in big machines. Tell
yeah.
us about some of the features of the laundry magician. What makes the place so great?
So as far as the laundry equipment is concerned, I had the idea, people have a lot of laundry. Why don't we put hotel sized washers and dryers in here, and we'll make them coin operated. Why not? Let's do it. So we did. We put a couple of big washers, big dryers, and it's the if you build it they will come theory, and people flock there with ruggables, giant dog beds, car covers, horse blankets. I mean, I've seen everything and anything go in those machines, and it just turns them and washes them. And so that brings a lot of people in, and while we're there, then we hang out, we do a lot of goofy things.
Okay. How many units do you have in the place altogether? How many washers and dryers?
So it's 17 washers and 26 dryers.
Okay, so it's kind of a no waiting sort of thing.
No, it's not a very big store, but every piece of equipment in there is big. So even though we only have 17 washers, they're all big machines. So people never have to wait. You come in and the wash only takes 26 minutes. So there's always something coming out and going in. It turns over very fast.
And I understand also people can drop their laundry off and get it taken care of, come pick it
Yeah,
up later.
yeah, that's a big part of our business. They like to drop off comforters, ruggables, dog beds, and then they bring their laundry also.
Okay, and this whole time, yourself and other people are juggling. They're doing magic tricks, they're playing
Something's
music.
always
The
happening. Yeah, something's always
the
happening.
disco ball overhead. You can play Pac-Man for
Uh-huh.
free, right? God, you'd never get rid of me if I was there. Used to play that darn Pac-Man. Um,
I
so it's kind of a fun place then.
It is. Laundry is necessary, but the task being daunting is not necessary. You come in there, you put your laundry in, and in the meantime, there's a lot to do in our shopping center. There's a lot of really great places to go, hang out, order food. The girls will call you if your stuff is done, or they'll move it to the dryer and they'll a lot of times we fold laundry so that it doesn't get wrinkled for people. We just fold it for you.
Okay, and so people know the website to the laundry magician is scrolling across the page now. And
Well, there you
one
go.
other thing that I noticed, Mark, from your website, you can call Mark, you can send him a message,
Yeah.
all kinds of things. It's very easy to get in touch with you, isn't it?
I always answer the phone. It's just, what else am I going to do? Not answer the phone? I run a business. I'm not as busy as I was since my transplant, so I love to connect with the people. I answer the phone. We text back and forth about your laundry, about other things, just it's funny, the conversations always start with, "Hi, can you do my laundry?" and it ends with something different because people always mention things that, and then I comment on it, and then it brings up a conversation. And me and my customers, we the laundry's washing, but we're just hanging out, having conversations.
Well, that's part of what makes your place so unique is your personal relationship with your folks.
Definitely, they know me. They know my girl, the other girls that work for me. They know their names. They, we have a relationship with people.
Okay, Mark, let's talk about the things that you do to give back to the community.
Hmm.
Tell us about donating your time to a charity once a month.
So a very dear friend of mine runs a charity, started it from scratch called Saving Our Seniors. And what she does is she started out originally delivering mobility devices to people that can't afford them. We would pick them up from wherever they would be donated, or someone would pass away and we'd get them. We take them back to her warehouse, fix them up, and then bring them to people that needed them. And now it's blossomed into a big charity. So I do now, once a month, I'll donate my day, and I'll go and I'll do anything she needs. Kelly, the girl that runs it, Kelly Casto, I'll do anything she asks. She's such a superwoman in this community. I just love her spirit, her message. So I love donating my time to her charity.
Okay, and what is the name of the charity?
Saving Our Seniors.
All right, and I want to say if you go to one of Mark's Facebook pages, he has two, one under his name, one under the Laundry Magician. There is a video there of this young lady with her place of business, and when he's talking about the things that she's collected that help disabled people, like your Uncle Jim, for example. I mean,
Hmm.
she has a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not a little,
Yeah.
it's not a corner store. It's looks like Walmart on the inside. That kind of size. So you might want to check that out.
It's
Um,
a pretty good one. And now she started delivering produce to people. She started a division called the Produce Pack. And right now, her and I are building a van. We're going to retrofit it out to look like a produce stand that drives around.
oh, cool.
Yeah. And then we'll go to all senior centers, and you know, for every bag you buy, I think there's a way that you could buy a senior a bag on her website. So I help her make deliveries of produce sometimes as well.
Wow, wow. I understand that since the hurricanes in Florida, you've been delivering food and laundry to seniors. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with that?
Correct. Well, the food and the laundry was through my friend's charity. I kind of helped her a little bit, but any person that called my phone that told me that they had storm damaged laundry or problems, I more or less did their laundry at what it cost me to do. I didn't make money off of it. I picked up thousands of pounds of soaking wet salty, storm wrecked laundry and washed it for people because I felt terrible that they lost everything they owned. There had to be some way I could do something. So I did a lot of laundry. We did a lot of salty laundry.
Wow, you are a remarkable man. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the coin collecting. I've seen several
Hmm.
photographs in your
Hmm.
your Facebook pages with unusual or older coins. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
I've always collected coins. Even as a kid, I would dig through pennies to look for wheat pennies. And when I got in the laundry business years ago, I started looking for silver quarters. And then I would notice that not just silver quarters, but there were other odd items that were mixed in circulation that people didn't even know about. So I started digging through and looking at stuff. And now I'm an eagle eye. I could pick stuff out across the room almost. So I have so many silver quarters, it's ridiculous. And I had tons of silver dimes, nickels, half dollars, Kennedy dollars, just all these weird items I started finding in circulation. And I bagged them, I separated them, I sorted them all out, and then I realized, what am I going to do with this stuff, right? I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know if you knew this or not, but so I started giving it away at my store. Anybody who comes in, I put posts about it all the time on like Pinellas free stuff. People come in and I'll give them a couple silver quarters or let them dig through for years they like. And I just want everybody to have it because, it's better in other people's hands than me hoarding it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk about the current state of your health since the time of your kidney transplant. What's going on with Mark and his kidneys right now?
All right. So, somewhere about 60 days post transplant, I started to develop an antibody, which is a very early sign of rejection. It could mean your body's not loving the kidney that's in there. So they put me on a plasmapheresis cycle. I did that, and then there were a couple more infusions after that, and then I did steroid infusions, and it was a total of 10 infusions. And yesterday I had my in clinic lab for the first time, and it seems as though everything has begun to level itself back out. When I found that
Excellent,
out today, I was shot out of a cannon. I went out, I did everything. It's 9 o'clock my time, and I'm still going.
excellent, excellent. So you had labs for possible rejection, and you're good right now. That's the bottom
Yeah,
line.
my creatinine level is good. My GSR or GFR, whatever, was very good. Everything was normal.
Beautiful,
Yeah, it felt good. It
beautiful.
felt good to get some good news.
From your experiences, Mark, do you have any final statements that you wish to make to our audience before we conclude the broadcast?
I think we've said it all. The one thing I wish that could change is that I wish it were easier for people to get on transplant lists. And I wish that the dialysis clinics were a little more user friendly, so to speak. It's not a nice place for people to be, and there's got to be a way to make it better.
Okay, so like you've done with your business, for example.
That's a good observation. Yeah. Could you imagine if the dialysis clinic was a place to be, a scene, That would be
Other
so much more
activities,
fun.
other activities going on besides sitting in that chair and staring at a small television.
Yeah, really. I've always thought, well, what if they put like beds, like nice reclining beds in there instead of those chairs that are so uncomfortable? And what if they had like a double bed so if you're married or have kids, they could just sit with you for 3 hours and hang out or I don't know. There has to be a better way than sitting in that room with all those people and all that negativity and death surrounding you. It's not fun.
I agree. I agree. Been through the same thing.
Yeah,
Well,
you know exactly what I mean.
yeah. I gotta say, Mark, between the video that you published this week and were kind enough to send to me,
Hmm.
and the broadcast, what a terrific job you've done of getting the word out and talking about your situation and sharing your story. And you're really a definite kidney warrior and hero to all of us that have
Thank you.
kidney disease and have been through dialysis diagnosis, kidney transplant, possible rejection, uh, issues with our kidney. And I do blood draws every month. I don't know about anybody else, but they keep a pretty close eye on your Uncle Jim, I think because I'm a little older. So
Hmm.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming on and talking to us, sharing your story, and I'm really very, very pleased about your healthy, optimistic, come on, Jim, optimistic talk, attitude,
Yes.
and you know what terrific things that you do for the people that come into your shop and for the community in general down there in St. Pete. And once again, thank you so much for sharing your story with
Thank you
us
for
tonight.
having me.
Oh, my great pleasure. I've been looking forward to this for, you know, at least 2 months since we set this up. I thought, man, I'm
Uh-huh.
going to get a chance to talk to Mark. This is going to be cool as hell. So, any rate, I'm going to let you go if you want to go. I have a couple of things I have to button up with my audience, tell them who's on
Okay.
next week, and a couple more overlays. But I've kept you for almost an hour. And again, I just want to say thank you. And I want to let everybody know I'm going to create a replay right after this broadcast. You can access the replay from now until the day that I die. And that'll be available to you. So if you missed the broadcast tonight, or you have friends that missed it, don't worry about it. You can share the replay, and I'll put that replay in all of my kidney groups that I run, and a few that I have that, well, another 100 or so that have given me permission to post it there. And, you know, your Uncle Jim will post on every platform. Be sure you check us out on Blue Sky, man. I'm excited about being on Blue Sky right now. And Mark, I'll send you the link so you can post it at your leisure,
Cool.
okay?
That I will. I promise.
All right.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
Oh, no worries. Thank you for coming on, and good luck with the laundry business. Keep us posted what's going on, okay?
I sure will. Thank you.
All right, folks, that's our broadcast for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. Be sure you let your friends know, share the broadcast, share the replay. Let's make sure that people know about you know what a great guy Mark is, and his enthusiasm, and the kinds of things we should be spreading as kidney advocates and as kidney patients, to support our fellow kidney patients, and make them feel like, you know, just because I got diagnosed with kidney disease, or somehow I ended up on dialysis, it's not the end of the world. You know, I'm not just going to die. So um, very, very good broadcast tonight. And I will see you guys next week. I have scheduled a fellow named Kevin Lewis. Kevin is looking for a kidney transplant. He asked for help that we kind of spread the word around. And you know, your Uncle Jim is a push. So we're going to try and
Mhm.
help Kevin out. And I will see you one way or another again next week. So you all take care.